Hey guys, welcome. I'm Claude Johnson. This is Volume 3 of your Blues Repertoire. All right, so we got a lot to talk about today, guys. First song we're going to go over is Highway 51 Blues. But before I jump into that, I just want to talk about some basic concepts, some ideas that I think are really important. So first thing is, and I always say this, but you should be playing these songs or any songs. You should be looking to build an arrangement with just you and your guitar, okay? So, like, for example, if you listen to a song and you hear a lot of other instruments, bass and keyboards, let's say, and there's just one little guitar riff, don't just learn that one little riff, okay? You want to be able to play the song with just you and your guitar. Because if you can do that, you can always adapt to different settings. You can always play with other musicians and it's going to sound fine. You'll know what to do. Versus the other way, if you just learn that one little lick, you're not going to be able to hold the song together. Also, when you can play a song all by yourself, you're just going to be that much better at quote unquote carrying the song. Okay, I've showed up to band practices where you can tell the difference between the guitarist that can really drive the band and carry the song and hold everything together, versus you just know a part and you're just kind of relying on everyone else, okay? So that's the most important thing. Learn arrangements that you can do with just you and your guitar. And that's basically what I've tried to do with all these songs. In fact, I'm filming myself performing all of these songs. Usually what I do with these song courses is, when I teach a song, I'll just maybe play a little bit of it. That's what I've done in the past. This time I'm trying to go like full tilt boogie. Just play all these songs. Show you guys and show myself that it can be done. You can play the whole song with just you and your guitar, including guitar solos. We'll talk about that. Second thing, and I've talked about this in the last in the Campfire Hits, which is the Volume 6 of the Ultimate Guitar Song Collection. The real key to sounding great and sounding like a pro is just playing tight, okay? Playing in rhythm, tap your foot, okay? That's one of the biggest things that's made a difference in my playing. Just get in the habit. It doesn't have to be your foot. It could be bobbing your head. Just get your body into it. Get the groove, okay? It doesn't matter whether you're playing fancy chords or whether you're playing crazy solos. If you can't play in time, okay, it's going to sound amateur. So that's really the key. And blues is simple, So again, going back to the arrangements, we can talk about this also. But yeah, the arrangement should be simple, okay? So, it's not going to sound better playing crazier chords if it's not in rhythm, okay? Hopefully that point is clear. So just focus on, beyond the basic arrangements that I'm going to show you, focus on just playing them clean, playing them tight. And another huge thing that will really, really help you is recording yourself, okay? So record yourself, listen to it, and that will tell you whether or not you're playing tight, okay? You can maybe think that you're playing tight in the moment when you're playing, but then you listen to it and you'll see it's not quite ready for prime time, okay? I mean, it's been a huge help just to me, even just as far as this course, like recording some of these blues covers. And I'll record a version for YouTube, and then I'll listen to it and I'll say, yeah, I mean, it's, there's no obvious mistakes, but it doesn't swing. It doesn't, there's not a strong enough groove. It feels maybe stiff or forced, and you can hear these things if you listen to your own recordings. You'll see where the weaknesses are. So that's some really good advice, I think. All right, so now, with blues, like I just said a moment ago, it should be simple, okay? And I'm going to try to show you simple stuff. I like to keep things simple. And a big reason for that is that there's a lot of work that's required to maintain a repertoire. If I had a nickel for every song that I've learned and forgotten, I'd have a pretty penny right now. So it takes work to maintain the repertoire, to keep it up, you know. So why make your life harder with crazy arrangements that are really hard? Keep things simple. Now, that being said, I do have a couple songs that I've played some pretty intricate and involved solos for, and I just want to get that out of the way right now and just tell you, like, I don't recommend you trying to memorize these, or you know, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, but I'm mostly showing you. Well, first of all, I played them because I wanted to put something, you know, on these YouTube covers. I wanted to play something cool that sounds good. I wanted to, you know, show what I can do a little bit. But even my own arrangements, like, I'm not planning to maintain some of these arrangements. Some of the solos I do are improvised, and some of them are kind of composed, I guess you'd say, written out, composed. So even some of my own composed solos, I'm not planning to maintain them. I'm not going to go back and review them and make sure I can play them. And I know I'm going to forget them. I'm already forgetting some of these that I filmed last week or a couple weeks ago. Okay, so that's okay. You don't need to maintain them. I want to show them to you so you can get ideas and make your own solos. Either, you know, you can compose your own solos. Maybe some of them are, you know, sometimes you can do it as far as memorizing or maintaining that kind of stuff. You know, this is kind of getting into the realm of solo guitar. And when I say solo guitar, I don't mean guitar solos, like in the middle of a song there's a solo. I mean solo guitar, just you and your guitar. So, yeah, it's kind of getting into the realm of solo guitar, and that's not really what I wanted to. It's not what I wanted this course to be about, and that's not really the kind of player I am. I don't like I said, I don't like to have a complicated repertoire to maintain. I'm much more of an improvisational guy. I love to just play what I feel in the moment. I want to keep things simple. I want to keep things simple for you guys. But I'm also going to show you some things that you can use to, like, work on your improv skills, even with some of the more complex stuff, you know, playing like bass and melody at the same time. So we'll talk about all that stuff. But I just wanted to really make that clear with, you know, like this first song, Highway 51 Blues. I did a 3-chorus solo that's pretty involved with bass lines and melodies and stuff. And again, I don't want you to memorize it. Don't try to memorize it. You can learn it if you want. You can learn parts of it, get inspiration from it, put your own solos together. Okay, learn it if you really want to, but you know, there's always a cost as far as, like, the time you put in. It's not just the time you put in to learn it. Most people need to keep practicing those kind of pieces if you want to remember it. Okay, so there's kind of a fine line there, and this is good for us to talk about. You know, there's a fine line between some things that you want to do, where you're learning something complicated and then trying to keep it simple. So overall, I try to keep things simple. You know, when you practice things and you record yourself, some of it's going to seep in and you're going to remember some of it anyway. So then you can kind of use parts of that when you improvise. All right, so anyway, I hope that made sense, and hopefully I didn't confuse you with kind of these two different approaches. So, you know, before I did these YouTube covers, I was playing these songs at jam sessions, and I didn't need any of that fancy stuff because I was playing with other people. And when you're just playing by yourself, you know, doing a solo guitar performance, there's a lot more weight on your shoulders to play something interesting and hold it all together. So that's kind of where that stuff comes from. But again, you don't need to do that. There's different levels. There's always different levels of you know, depth you can learn a song at. So, you know, my goal when I first started putting together my own repertoire was, let me just play them well enough that I can show up at a jam session, or if someone says, hey, Claude, play us some blues songs, I've got a bunch of songs right there in my fingers. That's what I want you to get out of this course. Have a bunch of songs right in your fingers, and you know, don't worry about the solos too much. I'm going to show you how to put your own solos together and improvise them as well. They just, you know, probably for most people, most of the time, you're going to be able to put something together that's a little bit fancier if you compose it, and a little bit more basic when you're improvising, and that's okay. So, apologies if I misled anyone with the stuff that I'm doing on YouTube. It is a little bit intricate, some of it, but I just want to be transparent about that. So anyway, that's enough blabbing from me. Let's get right into Highway 51 Blues. All right, so Highway 51 Blues. What's interesting about this song is that it starts on a minor chord. So a lot of blues is going to be your dominant chord, 1-4-5 type of thing. So we're in the key of C. So your usual 12-bar blues with dominant chords would be C7, F7, and G7. So this starts on C minor. And then for the 4 chord, you're going to go to F7 or F9, really. Okay? So when you think of minor blues, quote-unquote minor blues, you would typically have like a 1 minor to 4 minor, C minor to like F minor or F minor 7. So that's really not what this is. This is kind of somewhere in the middle. You can call it a hybrid blues if you want. But this is basically, it's like C minor and then F9. The other interesting thing about the structure of this song is that it goes back to the 4 chord where you would normally maybe expect a 5-4-1 turnaround. Okay, so let me just demonstrate a little bit here. It starts out, and I'll go over the intro later, but starts out, forgive me, honey, for all the wrong I done. Back to the 1. Please forgive me. Back to the 4. Honey, for all the wrong I done. This is where you might expect the 5, but instead, you go back to the 4 again. I don't want no one else to come and pull me across that Highway 51. And then finally, 1. Just 5 there for like half a bar, okay? So when it goes to the 4 the first time, that's typical in blues. Sometimes that's called a quick 4. So like the normal structure would be 4 bars of the 1 chord, but sometimes it'll go like 1, 4, 1, 1 for the first 4 bars. So you sort of have that here. Forgive me, bar 1, bar 2. Honey, for all the wrong I done, bar 3. Okay? Now here's bar 5. That's where your 4 chord comes in. Then back to your 1. Now this would normally be like bar 9, 10, 11, 12, but we're going to go back again. Forgive me. All right, sorry. The lyric is, don't want nobody have to come and pull me across that Highway 51. All right, so that's like the basics of this song. Now, if you wanted like a super bare bones arrangement, that's all you have to do is play those chords, okay? Just make sure you're getting a groove. I don't even know what groove I'm playing here, but it's kind of like 1, 2, and. Now when I'm playing it, I'm actually throwing in a couple extra things. So let me give you those. So forgive me. So I usually do this little melodic figure, and most of the time I'll do it like this. So this is basically, this technique is all about using the bar chord and then hitting other notes sort of within the minor pentatonic. You can hit it like this. So I've got this bar here. My finger is just, clamping down and just sitting there, hanging out. All right? You can do variations. I talked before about soloing and stuff, So, you can sort of get these notes while you're while you're playing a bass note. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But forgive me. So we go to the quick 4. Let's see. Anyway, sorry, let me back up a step. So sometimes the first time I'll do this one. So off the D string. And then, so, forgive me, honey, for all the wrong I've done. Then there's this bass walk up. Sorry if I'm going a little bit fast. I'm just throwing everything at you. We'll go back and cover this again. So, take it one bar at a time. So, forgive me. So I hit this. I'm not figuring it like that. I just for illustration. What I'm really doing is, so on the D string. Now my 4 chord F9. What I'm doing here is I'm sort of hitting some bass notes. So root, 3rd, root, and very often I'll do that 5th below. So this is your F9 chord, okay? You've already got your root, 3rd, 7, 9, okay? So when I play the chord the second time, I'm just not hitting that low note. I'm just, the lowest note is the 3rd. So root, 3rd, root, 5th, down on the low E string. Okay, so maybe back to the root. And like I said earlier, you could just play these chords. You know, when you're playing and singing, sometimes, you know, you're not going to nail like every little bass note or little nuance that you want when you're, especially when you're singing it yourself, okay? We could talk a little bit later about singing and stuff like that, performing. But whatever, even if you're not singing, okay, you're performing live, you're going to make mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, and it doesn't need to be perfect, you know. If you got the groove, it doesn't matter if you miss a bass note because no one's going to notice, okay? No one's going to care. So you can throw those in just to give it some texture. Okay, now here's one of the final pieces of this arrangement, which is this little bass walk up that I do. Which is sort of interesting because it's actually not that uncommon, but when I was studying like bass lines and stuff, I was kind of thinking about things in terms of chords or chord arpeggios. Just a small tangent here. But let's see, like, you know, I would think of dominant chords, you know, walking up the arpeggio, or with minor. This is interesting because you're hitting the root twice, so bum, so root, then minor 3rd, 5th. Maybe something like that. Now, some of these melodic ideas I just got from listening to the original recordings. This is something you can do with different songs, blues songs or other things. You know, listen to it and just pluck out ideas, what, you know, basically what sticks out to your ear. When I'm looking at blues songs and trying to come up with something simple yet interesting, I'm just looking for like what's the unique thing about it, what jumps out to my ear. So this other thing, that was one thing that I was kind of hearing on the track, little melodic figures like that, and then the bass line was the other thing. Boom, 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 boom. So in this song, you can kind of put those two together. Okay? So on the 1 chord, I'm doing that. Now, I'm really like strumming the chord while I'm playing that bass line. So you can use your pinky here. I'm not worried about being too precise with it, whether I'm hitting a chord with the bass or whatever. I'm just know that I'm not just doing this. I'm I'm really, you know, keeping the chord position with my hand. Now, one thing that I had in my arrangements, which I didn't play on the YouTube, was a little lick that would go like this, which I think works well. The reason I didn't play it was because it was just too much to try to nail that while I was singing. So you can try that. It's kind of optional. It's a good way to just lean back. This is like just these three strings, A, D, and G strings. And it's the same fret when you're barring, 8th fret. And you just hammer on here. This ends up being like, so we're still in the 4-chord F. And this is like an F 7 with no third. Okay, so it's like root, 5th, 7th. And then I'm hammering, so it's like sort of, you could say it's an F sus chord hammered onto an F7, no third, but we don't need to get too theoretical. The most important thing is just getting the rhythm for it. So when you come up, you can come up with ideas like that. Just make sure they're fitting in, and you're starting each beat on the right part, or starting each chord on the right beat, I should say. All right, so far we have, let's see. Back to the 4 one more time. So that's how we end it. The 5 chord only appears there at the end, and I'm just doing a normal G7 here. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the intro. And you know, in general, intros are something that are sort of optional. You can keep these arrangements very simple. Again, if you want to just do bare bones arrangement, you know, learn as many songs as you can quickly. You know, just forget the intros. You know, if you show up to a jam session and just start, and you know the drums and the bass kick in, it's going to sound great. So you don't really need the intro. The intro is, well, first of all, it's really good for solo guitar because you need more to keep it interesting. But in general, it just makes the song fresher. I mean, it makes the main riff sound more fresh when you're playing something else, and it's also just a good way to get into the song. Okay, so that's kind of the function of the intro. But don't drive yourself crazy with intros. Okay, that being said, the intro I came up with it by just listening to the track, and I heard like a very distinctive bass line. And at the same time, there was some piano or some guitar playing something like that. So I just basically put them together. And you can do this yourself. You know, the more you get into like working on blues bass lines and stuff, the easier it gets. The more you'll be able to listen to a track, kind of hear it, and put stuff together. And then, you know, I just put stuff slowly together, like, okay, what note am I hearing or what note am I supposed to be playing on this lick when I'm playing this bass line? And so I just kind of pieced it together. And so I came up with something like this. Just, let's see, the first part. Okay, so start out here with just the C chord, or you can change it into a C minor 7. Actually, what I'm doing is starting here on the 4th, which would make it like a C minor 11. But so a lick like that, where I got my pinky, like a hammer-on pull-off. Okay, so that's like the opening part of the opening lick. Slowly. Then you got this shape. It's 11th fret low E string and 10th fret G string. Some of these weird shapes will just come out of the woodwork when you're putting together these kind of things, like two parts at the same time. So this is with the first finger here, then I go to my middle finger, and this walks up, but then I switch, like, I switch shapes because my bass note's changing there. So whoop. Then this shape, so we're skipping over the D string, A string 10th fret, G string 8th fret. And then this shape, you basically move the whole thing down a set of strings and forward 2 frets, but you also add, no, sorry, my bad, it's this. So, and then into this. So again, plucking here. So this is very hybrid picking type of stuff. The higher notes I'm using my usually my ring finger. And this one I'm using my middle and ring finger. It's not an easy lick, to be honest. And then I do this into this. Okay? Alright, so you can check the tabs for that if you want to learn the intro. And like regarding what I said earlier about learning solo guitar and arrangements, I think some of these intro things are worth learning and memorizing just because they're short. So you get a lot of bang for your buck there. It's a cool way to add a little bit of sophistication to your arrangements without too much memorization. So, you know, stuff like that, just for me personally, I will try to maintain those kind of cool intros, even if I forget the long solo. Okay, so now let's talk about the guitar solo. And again, you know, this is getting into the realm of solo guitar and sort of away from the spirit of blues improv. But you have to find your own. You have to draw the line for yourself. What's too much, and but yeah, I would really advise you not to try to memorize long stuff. I mean, that's, you know, it's almost like classical guitar. What I don't like about it is, like, if you try to memorize something and then you make a mistake, you can get lost. So, and yeah, it's just a lot of work to maintain. But that being said, I'm going to show you anyway what I was playing, and hopefully you'll get some ideas from it, and I'll talk about some of the ideas and how you can use them for both composition and improvisation. All right, so we start out, let's see. Now here, I'm using a monotonic bass, so we go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. So this is something you could do as an improvisational thing. And, you know, this is very underrated. I think monotonic bass, like for me, I thought, oh, it's just one note. It's not as cool as, you know, it's not as cool as those walking bass lines. But there's a lot to be said. I mean, you know, for just the monotonic bass, you know, you can, first of all, it's although it might be simple, it has its own sound. You don't always want to be doing that walking bass, you know. It gives you a lot of room, like mental bandwidth, when you're improvising, to just really focus on that melody. Which I've always been about the melody anyway. So yeah, it's an underrated thing. And what you can do, like, you know, if you're in this C minor position, you just keep the bar there. You can pluck that low bass note. right, so there's a lot you can do with that. And, you know, this could be a springboard to like more advanced bass lines later. So, you know, once you get used to really doing that, then you can do like root fifth. Anyway, and then other more advanced bass lines, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's go back to the arrangement. The melody is like, I hit this 3-note chord. Really, I'm just outlining the progression of going from the 1 chord to the quick 4. And notice I walk into that, so it's like a nice little voice leading. So, and then I go to that riff. So that's something else. It's another important technique is you can quote the riff again. That, you know, you've been playing this riff through the song. Now you're playing the solo. You know, it's good to throw that in there. So I use that, and this is yet another technique. When you play a bass line, like a bass riff like that, you can use that to go into like a multi-octave riff where you add higher notes. It's almost like one long line. It's a little bit of a variation, sort of speeding up a little bit with a little triplet there. And then we jump up a fifth. And then we go back, we slide here into this nice little shape. It's like this F shape, but just without the root. So that's the third of the chord, but I'm using it as a bass note while I'm picking this. So sort of a variation on the monotonic bass. It is like a monotonic bass, but using the third there. Notice it's like, then back to the riff, and then I do this. It's sort of like the technique I just talked about, where you're using, you know, just borrowing and playing some melodies. Then we go back to the 4 chord again. We're following the form. Now here is interesting because I play the bass, root, third, and then just roots. Basically walking down. A little bit tricky there. Notice how the melody and the bass are staggered. Now this is another tricky part because I got to switch fingering here. Because I want to get this note back here. But my other fingers, I'm already using the G string for this note, okay? So I need to switch. I switch and I play, I refinger the bass note. So I'm not going to go spend too much time. I could talk about this solo for probably 2 hours if we went over every note and everything. I'm going to give you the tabs for it. So hopefully I'm discussing the ideas enough. And all right, let's continue to the second chorus of the solo. All right, so the second chorus is going to start out something like this. This one's going to be, the bass line is actually a root octave pattern, which is something different. You know, you have your monotonic, like I said, root 5. This, the root octave is cool because it gives you a little bit more movement, a little bit more, something a little bit more interesting than just playing one bass note. But at the same time, it also is just playing, you know, like the same type of note, like a C. So it keeps the simplicity of the harmony. Anyway, because I think I was trying a root 5 and it just sounded like too busy. So that was the sound that maybe I was looking for in my head, and I thought, this is cool. So the melody is going to be going like this. Root, octave, root. Notice here, you get this cool shape because you have the octave note in the bass. So then 4 chord. So that's all just on the A string, okay? The F note. There's your 4 chord. That's the B string of the melody. Punch that chord. That's just your, go back to your C minor or C minor 7. Let's see. And then I threw in sort of a fast lick after that. So that's just C pentatonic, B string. And then okay. Pull off. That's the 13th fret, 11th, 8, pull off. And then we do this. You could either do this or, but the point is you're sweeping down 8th fret, 11th, 12th, and slide back to your pentatonic. So continue down. This is very similar to that same bass we showed earlier, but this time it's just on the 7 chord, 7 shape. And then I go into this lick like, so root 3rd, root 5th, but when I play the 5th in the bass, I go right into the next lick. So that lick. So pentatonic, but we're hitting this second degree. Then we do another one of these licks. Another one of these licks where you're barring and just hammering. But this one we start on the B string and end on the G string. Then the next lick is going to be, this is a pretty complicated one. So we start on the the F9, and then we play this. Again, some of these weird shapes are kind of based on chord melody stuff. I'm hitting the 3rd of the F, but I just want to play this. So, and then, so it's like root, third, root. And then this is the 6th in the melody, 10th fret B string. So, and then it continues, but I hit my bass note with the, on the next one, on the next phrase. So here's that part slowly. And then, so this is F note with the, that's a G in the melody. And then C in the melody, I'm sorry, C in the bass. And then here's like an octave shape. But this just comes from the fact that I'm doing, kind of doing an alternate bass there, I guess. So notice the bass is doing that. And then we again end it. So again, that part. All right, let's talk about the third chorus, and hopefully you can see why I was saying don't try to memorize all of this stuff. It's just too much. When you're improvising, you know, or putting together a solo for this, you can just totally just. Anyway, that being said, let's get into the third chorus here. So we do another chord bunch, and then we do a fast lick. It's a lick that I don't even think I nailed myself on the recording, but it's a sweep like this. That was supposed to be the lick. Okay, so. Sweep up here. This is the 8th fret. So 8th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret with my pinky, 2nd finger, 1st finger. And then I'm going to slide back up to the 8th fret with my 2nd finger. So you got that, hopefully? And then so this is, it's a pretty advanced lick, okay? So if you're not up to speed on these 3-note per string pentatonics, I have a separate course called Pentatonic Chops where I go over that stuff. So yeah, we start out. Let's see. Yeah, so we do this punch. Then we go to our 9 chord. But this time we can do a version of it which hits the C with the melody note, which is the 5th of the F chord. So bop, 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 bop. Back to the F9. This is an F13. And then something like this. which I think I also didn't really nail on the recording, but that was what I wanted to play. So, pinky, pull off here, and sweep down. Slide back. And down this like arpeggio. And then one more of these pentatonic position type licks, but this one's on the D string, and we end up here on the B string. All right. So far for that we have then we have this. So this is, now we're getting into, I throw in a walking bass type. And here's the melody note. So the melody is kind of like with this walking bass. So real slow, this is here's my bass note, F, on the A string, 8th fret, and then the melody note, high D. And then this. Our bass note goes up to the D string, melody note goes back here, 8th fret, high E string. And then we slide this little shape up. Back to here, because the bass is going like this. And this one has a little offset, so. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Boom. And then finally throw that riff in again. And at the very end, I'm not even sure what I'm trying to play, but I'm trying to do an ending lick like that. Something like that. Where I start my fast lick on the B string. I didn't really precisely work that out. I just knew that I wanted to do. Something like that. So I'll have to work more on that. But anyway, it's a lot of stuff to do. Again, hopefully, the point of me teaching this is not that, oh, you should go like spend 20 hours learning this solo. No, you should spend like 1 hour working on the basics. You know, this riff. You know, this riff. This riff. And then, you know, put your own solos together. You know, even if you don't play bass and melody at the same time, you can still. Yeah, even if you want to put something together simple like that, that's great. That's still also some work, but the key to that is just making sure that you have like the right number of beats in your phrases. Okay, so 1, 2, and you can do stuff very simple in the beginning when you're putting together solos. You know, for solo guitar, just go right down the pentatonic scale. Why not? Honey, for all the wrong I done. you'll get better the more you work on it. All right, so that we've covered a lot of ground. I think that should give you a really good basis for this song. So yeah, there you have it. Let's keep going.